Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us Across the Fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. On a program earlier this month, we visited with the Dean of the University of Vermont's College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences. Today, we're following up with Dean Linda Shadler to learn about some of the college's outreach offerings and student achievement. To begin, we meet with some Vermont 4-H participants who have their sights set on robotics, a robotics competition that's put on by the College of Engineering.
It's the Vermont Farm Show, but these young Vermonters have something other than farming to show off.
The little robots are called EV3 robots, and they're actually made out of Legos.
Jackson Charvaletti and his 4-H club are the Aluminum Avian Antics, which is part of a larger group called the Champlain Shamrocks from Grand Isle. The club does all sorts of projects, from orienteering and archery to the one that brought them here today, robotics. They're at the farm show to share some of their robots with the crowd and tell people about what they do.
Today is mostly like an outreach day, you know? We're just kind of getting the word out there that a robotics team can be a 4-H club, right? Like 4-H isn't just horses and cows, it can be robotics. We also do, like shooting sports.
The group is also raising awareness for an upcoming competition that will put their robotic skills to the test.
How is it going? How close is your robot?
We're doing pretty well. We've got most of the components on it, and the rest of them are built, just not attached.
The challenge is different every year. What does not change is the guarantee that it will be tricky.
This year we have to sort these balls and blocks and then score them into different baskets that are elevated off the ground about 2.5 feet. And then you have to be able to hang from the robot from this hook that's mounted underneath one of the baskets.
It's called the First Tech Challenge. It's a yearly robotics event designed for teams of students in 7th through 12th grade who compete in regional, national, and international tournaments.
Red Alliance includes Aluminum Avian Antics from Grand Isle, Vermont.
This year, the competition was held at Champlain Valley Union High School in Heinsberg. Across the Fence went to check in with the 4-H'ers. So you guys have had a couple matches so far today. How have they gone?
It's going pretty well so far. Our high was about 86 points in our first round alone, which is really good. We're seeing great stuff so far.
Mainly, the autonomous has the most points, so mainly if the autonomous is working, then it's doing really good.
The team has been working on their robot for months to get it ready for competition.
We've been working since October to build it, and it's been through several different designs and stages of ideas, and we eventually settled on the one that we have currently that works the best, and it's the one that continues working the longest.
Members worked together to come up with the design for their robot and then concentrated on either building or programming it.
So we all kind of decide what we want to focus on, and then we build that from there. Like if we wanted to hang like we did, then we wanted to focus on that being like one of the main pieces of the robot.
I'm on the building side, so we kind of learn from other people in the past who have done, we watch videos of them and kind of try to copy their idea and find the best idea and put it into our robot.
Along with hoping their robot performs well on the day of competition, the team says they get a lot out of just being here and seeing what the other teams have created. What's it like being here with all these teams from all over?
I think it's really cool seeing the experience from others and what others can do as a team to build different projects, and I think it's generally pretty amazing.
All right, go up now. Pull down.
It's really neat to see other teams' robots too, and other teams have more resources than others too for some, but it's really cool to see how some teams adapt to what they have and make use with what they have.
It's a challenge that gives these youth a chance to learn by doing, and that is the 4-H way. In Heinsberg, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
That awesome event at CVU marked the 7th year that the First Tech Challenge has been produced by volunteers from UVM, and specifically from the College of Engineering and Mathematical Sciences. To learn more about the events and accomplishments taking place in the college, I'm joined by the Dean, Linda Shadler. Good to see you again. Thanks.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in again. So it must be very exciting to see the growing interest in robotics on behalf of middle and high school students, and to see these awesome things they're doing.
It is fantastic, and FIRST Robotics is one of those programs that's increasing interest in STEM, and students who participate in a project like that do really well in college. They learn the team environment, they learn some of the gracious professionalism behavior, and they learn a lot of STEM foundational principles that they use in college. It's a fantastic event, and it's growing in Vermont. Just a couple weeks ago, we had an event to teach people how to be mentors for FIRST Robotics teams, and we're beginning to coordinate across the state so that we can synergistically use our resources for these students.
Fantastic. I bet that's really fun mentoring these students too, to get them to work in teams.
I think the mentors have a blast.
Yeah.
The energy in the room, I don't know if you could feel it from that video, but it is incredible. It's like being at a basketball game.
Okay, awesome. And I want to touch on another challenge event. It's called the Human Powered Vehicle Competition, and your students are a part of it. They're really helping to change the world.
Excuse me, yes, so the Human Powered Vehicle Competition is one of the design teams at UVM for students who are attending UVM. We also have an aero team that builds an electric vehicle. But in both these cases, they're trying to make a better vehicle that will travel more efficiently. In the case of the human-powered vehicle, it's for parts of the world where they don't have a lot of cars, and it'd be helpful for people to travel more efficiently. And in the case of Aero, it's really for cars anywhere in the world that will be running more on electric and battery support.
And isn't that more racing cars, the Aero, or not necessarily anymore?
They race it, but they also race the human-powered vehicle. So there's an endurance race, there are speed races, there are relay races for the human-powered vehicle as well.
Wow. And I take it that it looked like everybody was on a kind of a recumbent bike there. Are most of them that way, or they're of all shapes and sizes?
They say that there was even one that looked like a traditional tricycle. So I think there are many kinds.
Okay.
But our team came in top 10 in the world at the competition using theirs. Their human-powered vehicle, their recumbent bike, not in all the areas, but in a couple of the areas of the competition. So we were pretty excited about that.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. So about the same time that those students were engaged in the human-powered vehicle competition, you also had a set of seniors travel to rural India to also really help make the world a better place, to change the world. Tell us about what they did in India.
So the Elaine and Richard Barrett Foundation has been supporting projects in our senior design studio for several years, and they have just uncovered a part of India where there are a lot of burn victims, and they've actually built a burn center. And the reason there are a lot of burn victims is because the ovens in the villages are very unstable, and they'll often, the women will catch on fire and the children will also get burned. In addition, they're inside and they're there's a lot of smog, so that it affects the lung health of people in those villages as well. And so they funded the students to build a stove that's more efficient and has better ventilation and is less likely to cause burns. And the students were working and communicating with people, I don't know, 11, 12,000 miles away. So they asked to go to India, and we raised the funds and we sent them. And they were met by people in India and taken to various villages and worked with those villagers on those stoves or those ovens, and were able to learn from the villagers the good parts and the bad parts and what they needed to adjust.
So this is an oven that they use, doesn't work so well, and they were actually seeing what they were using and figuring out, here's a poor young man who did get burned. So how do we move from this to something more? So they're actually doing that science right on the spot.
Yeah, they were doing what we talked about with engineering design before. They were trying something, it didn't work, they were trying to improve it and make it better. And they were doing that with the input of the people in the villages. Wow. And at the same time, they were learning about Indian culture, and the hospitality they were shown was amazing. I spoke to some of the students, and some had gone and some had not, and those that had not gone were very disappointed that they had not, because of the powerful experience those who went had.
Right. What a wonderful experience to have practical and know that you changed villages and people's lives. So there's one more thing I want to touch on while we have time. Talk about Victoria Hands Project. That one.
So the Victoria Hands Project works on prosthetic hands that are inexpensive. So again, to help in the developing part of the world, and they are trying to make prostheses do a lot of different things. And they asked our students to build a prosthesis that could hold a fork and that could brake on a bicycle. And so teams were testing that out. Last I heard from the students, the fork part was working pretty well, but learning how to use the hand on a bicycle was a challenge, and they were still tweaking how to make that work really well.
Wow. So, and you also, we talked just briefly before about, they worked with Burton about kind of a quick release system or something?
Well, for people with a prosthetic foot, it's a kind of boot that would work well for a prosthetic foot and be easier to get in and out of. Absolutely.
So we were also seeing the brakes. That is a tricky thing.
Yes. The students really found that figuring out how to do that without fingers and make that work right was a challenge. So they were, and even learning to balance on the bicycle, they said, was a challenge with a prosthetic hand.
Right. It's really a beautiful thing that your students are doing things that are helping everybody. So a lot of exciting and important things happening at the UVM College of Science and Mathematical Engineering. Any other projects that's just come up for you that?
So we have some students working with Benchmark Systems,
amazing.
which is a company that works with small satellites and making propulsion systems for them, so that when all that debris up in space, you can move the satellites out of each other's way and also bring them down so that they'll burn up, and so we don't have as much debris in space. And that's Benchmark Systems working on a propulsion system. Our students were working on a special joint for them. So I got to see this complicated platform balancing on a pinpoint that they'd figured out how to keep it balanced, I guess, which is an important part for the satellites. So that was a fun one to see.
Well, I'm thrilled with all that's happening at our very own UVM, from space to rural India. It's really wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in. We look forward to visiting with you again and finding out what other innovations are happening right up there on the hill at UVM.
Thank you very much.
To learn more, you can check the college's website. Go to uvm.edu/CEMS, or you can call the dean's office. She's open to that at 802-656-3392.
Thank
Linda,
you.
again, thank you so much for all that you do at UVM and for coming in today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.